Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next lesson of organization behavior, which is information and communication in organizations. My name is Madiha Hasan. Okay, so moving on towards the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are understand the role of information in organization, know how perception operates, be aware of implication and limitations created by information, identify the constraints and errors produced by attribution, and understand how perception is symmetric and attribution influences information, distinguish the impact of interpersonal communications, be sensitive of communication patterns, and pull out all the factors influencing information flows together. Okay, so the picture that you can see on the screen, it says information processing in organizations. So normally how an information is processed in an organization, it has 4 stages. Starting from selective attention and comprehension, encoding and simplification, storage and retention, and retrieval and response. And if you look at the bottom of the picture, it says competing environmental stimuli, for example, people, events, and objects, they are interpreted and categorized. Then it is stored in the memory, and then you make judgments and decisions. Okay. So selective attention and comprehension. It means that people selectively perceive subsets of stimuli. Okay. Attention is the process of being consciously aware of something or someone plays a role, can be focused on information either from the environment or from memory. Okay, and something is salient when it stands out from its context. Social salience is determined by several factors, including novelty, brightness, unusual, extremely positive, negative. As you can see in the picture, that the word standouts, it's bold. And if you start reading it, you will only focus on the standout. Why? Because it is bold and you can see it. So this is how the information that stands out, it is retained more. Okay, selective attention. So you give selective attention to that specific thing. Similarly, the stage 2 is encoding and simplification. Encoding, it means that cognitive categories, metal depositories, sorry, for storing information. Then schema, a person's mental picture of summary of picture or event of the stimulus. Then encoding, process to interpret and evaluate our environment. So if a thing come into your mind, you store information, you process it, what is the mental picture, and then process and interpreting is done into your environment according to your environment. Okay, next one is storage and retention. Long-term memory consists of separate but related categories. Information passes between these categories. For example, long-term memory is made up of 3 compartments containing categories of information about event, semantic materials, and people. Event memory is memories that describe sequences of events in a well-known situation. Okay. For example, there are a few things that are still in your mind. Why? Because there was a special event happening on that day. For example, your graduation day or your birthday. So you will be having memories of those days. You will not be having memories of some other day which was not very special, but where the special event occurred, that will stay in your mind forever. And that is stored, and you will be able to retain that. Then retrieval and response. People retrieve information from memory when they make judgments and decisions. Okay. For example, if you have made a decision which was not very good, and then you will see next time when you will be thinking of making a decision, you will keep that in mind. Okay. Our judgments and decisions are either based on process of drawing on, interpreting, and integrating information stored in long-term memory, or on retrieving a summary judgment that was already made. Okay. Okay, the next thing is a verbal communication. Verbal communication in verbal, why communication is so important in an organization? Because organization is consisted of people, and the more globalized we are getting, the more we are having diversity in organization. So if we have more diversity in the organization, it's very important uh, to have that communication going, both verbal, written, and obviously the interpersonal communication as well. So in verbal communication, for example, it is oral. So in oral presentations, it's mostly one way. When you give a presentation, it's only one way. You're just presenting a content. In group discussions, it is mostly two-way. Yeah, in group discussions, it is mostly two-way. So you are discussing something, the other person is saying, so the communication goes on. Similarly, face-to-face kind of conversation, when you have like meetings, it's all also mostly two ways. So presentation, so these kind of things you will be seeing in communication in organizations. So group discussions, you will be able to interact with each other. Similarly, in written communication, it is either letters, emails, meeting minutes, manuals, or reports. So these are the things that are included in verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. So sometimes this is more important. Obviously, in verbal communication, it is also important, but non-verbal communication, for example, your body movements and gestures, touch, um, facial expressions, eye contact. You need to be very, very careful about how you are having your non-verbal communication, because this is how, for example, it is written that gender, male to male touching are more frequent than female to male touching. And obviously there are some cultural, as we are going global as well, so more diversity, more cultures. You need to be more culturally aware of everything. In some of the cultures, it is not very common to have a physical touch, shaking hands. It's not very common. um, Similarly, in others, maybe it's fine. In some of the like high five or waving the hand. So these gestures sometimes, or facial expressions as well. Um, it is um, it is different in different cultures, so we need to be very careful about that. Similarly, high status individuals touch low status individuals more frequently than vice versa. Some cultures are more likely to touch than others. No contact culture include Northern Europe and North America. Contact cultures including Southern Europe and the Middle East. In China, hugging or taking someone's arm is considered inappropriate. In the Philippines, handshaking and a pat on the back are common gestures. In Japan, business cards are exchanged before bowling or bowing. A handshaking, a weak handshake is common, and lengthy or frequent and is considered impolite. Okay, in South Korea, men bow slightly and shake hands, sometimes with two hands. Women refrain from shaking hands, is considered to. So you need to be careful about these things. Um, Similarly, active listening is very important. Uh, and active listening does not only mean that listening and responding and then reacting. It is also including in that. It includes mental abilities, reading abilities, vocabulary, ego involvement, fatigue, gender, extrinsic motivation, note-taking ability. All these things are included. Message characteristics: clear, ambiguous, active voice, message containing similar points. And so similarly, speaker characteristics are also very important, and environmental characteristics are temperature, soaring arrangements, noise. If there is noise, you will not be able to hear the other person, so your listening will be impaired. Okay. Assertiveness, aggressiveness, and non-assertiveness. So we need to be very careful. There is a very thin line between them, so you need to be very careful. So assertive means pushing hard without attacking. Permit others, not like physical pushing. Pushing hard means in such a way that if you are giving your idea, you need to be assertive, you need to be confident, you need to assert you push your idea. But it should not look like that you are attacking someone. Okay, permit others to influence outcome, expressive and self-enhancing without intruding on others. Okay, it should not look as an intrusion. Similarly, aggressive. In aggressive, you it is more towards negative side, taking advantage of others, expressive and self-enhancing at others' expense. So when you are aggressive, you are actually trying to put others down. Okay. Similarly, non-assertive encourage others to take advantage of himself or herself. So as you see that assertive, uh, there is a thin line between assertive and aggressive. So if you are assertive but you're taking others' advantage, you will become aggressive. And if you are assertive but you are not pushing hard and you are not, so other people may take advantage of you. So this is how you need to make sure that in an organization how you can survive. Okay. Application of interpersonal communication. Uh, if you are actually in an organization, describe the situation, express your feeling, and impact the others' behavior on that has on you. Okay, so if you're going into an organization, you need to assess your environment around, empathize with others person's position, negotiate changes with the other position with the other person, indicate in a non-threatening way the possible consequences. If someone is saying something to you, just say that, oh, this is not very good, politely, and this is not going to be result in a good way. Okay, and summarize the agreed action and making expectations clear. Okay, application of interpersonal communication. I know this is a very, very important thing, that how to say no, or if you want, obviously there are so many people who do not know how to say this. For example, if a manager is coming to you with work and you are already like you are already have your hands full, that how you would say no. Or if a coworker is coming to you and you are saying that, oh, can you please do my work? I have to go somewhere. So you are already handful of your work. So how would you politely say no? Do not start to apologize. It's not your fault. You are already doing your work. Keep it brief and simple. Just say that, okay, I have got this work. So could you please let me know that what things to prioritize, there, so that I can I can start working on that. Or if it is a priority, then I will keep my other work aside. This you can say to your manager, obviously, not to your coworker, because with coworker they're not going to help you in your work. Be clear that you refuse the request. Just tell them that I won't be able to do it because today I'm doing this and I'm working on this, and I will be able to complete it by 6 hardly by the end of the day. So I can do it first thing in the morning tomorrow, but I'm not able to do it today. Use appropriate non-verbal behavior. Okay, you say that, I'm sorry, I'm not. Do not say sorry. Just say that I have to do this, and then like you need to be very careful about saying this. Make use of the broken record technique. Okay, just say that. Okay. So moving on towards next is hierarchical communication. Hierarchical communication is downward exchange of information between superiors and employees, as we discussed in the start. Upward exchange of information. The problem in that is there is a lack of communication. That if something is just coming to you and you have to fulfill it, there is no way that you are communicating it back that, oh, this is a burden. So target is coming to you that you have to achieve 80% of the targets, or you have to say increase sales. If it's physically not possible, you will not be able to tell them, because obviously it's just coming to you and you are not able to communicate your problems with that, and information leaks can happen as well. Similarly, a perpetual process model of communication decoding. A receiver converts a message into a form that can be interpreted. It is a key contributor of misunderstanding in communication. Yeah, obviously decoding. If you are giving information, if there's ambiguous information that you do not know that how the employees will perceive that information. So decoding of information, code it and decoding of information according to the perception. Now here where perception comes. So everyone will perceive it according to their own understanding. Okay. Then application barriers of effective communication. There are so many barriers of effective communication. So a sender, if it's not sent according to this proper sending, the sender has some issues. Then encoding barrier, message barrier. Sometimes message is not given properly. Medium is not chosen rightly. Decode, the thing is the message is not decoded properly. A receiver is having some issues. For example, there is an internet connection, so you have sent information, the other one hasn't received it. Then again, feedback barrier. If the person is not able to provide feedback correctly, and this is also communication. Then personal barriers, the ability to effectively communicate, the way people process and interpret information, the level of interpersonal trust, ability to listen, egos of people communication. Sometimes people who have egos, they are not able to communicate their um, uh, communicate properly. Okay. The natural tendency to evaluate or judge a sender's message, the inability to listen with understanding. Similarly, there are some semantic barriers. Some people do lack empathy, or redundancy, effective timing, descriptive feedback, or ask questions. So we need to communicate these things. Physical barrier, work and office noise, poor telephone lines, poor connection, poor internet, crashed computers, distracting walls. Choosing media to fit the purpose. So we need to be very, very careful. This is contingency model for selecting communication media. Okay, so which kind of media you are using. So if the complexity of problem is low, okay, and richness of communication medium is lean, then we need to use this impersonal media like bulletin boards, newsletters. If the complexity of a situation problem is high, okay, and richness of communication medium is rich, then we need to have this face to face. The face to face meetings are always really important. Okay. Similarly, if the thing is, think from your perspective. If um, complexity of problem is medium, you will just maybe give them a phone call. Okay. Or maybe video conferencing, or even if before that, if it is not very, you will start doing it with maybe email. An email should do. Okay. If the complexity is high, you will move towards phone call recordings. And if complexity is very, very high, it means that you need to have a face-to-face person. So this is how communication media is very important while communicating or while providing an information. Okay. I Yeah, so this is the last slide. Yeah, and that's it for today. And we'll see you with the next lesson. Okay, bye bye.